I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and today is an exciting day in the world of competitive Carcassonne because we are in day 6 of round 2 of the 2026 Carcassonne Champions League qualification cycle. But it's not just any day, it's in fact the semi-finals of the Fourth International Qualification tournament, the tournament for 8 of the highest rated players in the world as measured as peak rating on Board Game Arena in 2025. You can see all of those 8 players participating here in the list and their peak ratings. And the players today that we're focusing on are Ukraine's lawyer, Yaroslav Herasimenko, with a peak rating of over 800. One of the 3 players to have achieved a peak rating over 800 in 2025 to participate in this qualification cycle. And his opponent is going to be the Azul Master and now a Carcassonne Master from China, Phosphate, also a very interesting player, peak rating just under 800, but they should be a very, very fearsome opponent here. The reason why I'm interested in the 4th qualification tournament more than other tournaments is because from here, whoever qualifies from here, and these are going to be 2 players who make it all the way to the main stage, they're probably going to be one of the favorites of the entire tournament. Some big names over here, obviously. For example, last year, both players who qualified from the 4th qualification tournament reached the semifinals, and one of them even happened to win the entire Carcassonne Champions League. So let's see if something similar happens this year. As to these particular players, yeah, Lawyer has been around the block in national team Ukraine for already a few years now. So you can see some of their accomplishments with the team, some online accomplishments, some offline accomplishments as well in the European Championship. But in the most notable individual accomplishment is the bronze medal at the 2024 Carcassonne Mind Sports Olympiad Grand Prix, which was won by Latvia's Kriškautis at the time. Yeah, Phosphate, of course, is known for Azul and Splendor, but mainly Azul. You can see how obscene their rating is, like over 1,000, whereas 700 is considered a master. There isn't an official Grandmaster title, but if there were, then this would certainly go here. Their current Carcassonne rating is now in the upper 700s after fewer than 1,500 games played. It's a very, very fast learning process here. And in general, as somebody who plays Azul and Carcassonne competitively, well, both of these games, I noticed that you can apply experience in Azul to Carcassonne, and you can apply experience to Carcassonne to Azul. And let's see what they manage to do with their experience right now. Well, they got themselves the red meeples to match the color of the flag, Lawyer with his traditional blue to match the color of his flag. So far, everything is unfolding correctly. Phosphate is the starting player. They will have the slight statistical advantage in this game. No points have been scored so far, but it is surely a matter of time. I have some interesting setups here. This mildly vulnerable city here by blue. A bit of an unusual protection scheme with this curve. I wonder if that's actually going to come back to bite him. I don't think I'd bother. I think as blue I would have just gone over here. But yeah, red does finish a road. Gets himself on the scoreboard. This city is uninspiring, but plenty of tiles to continue it further. Yeah, and this is precisely the stuff that I was afraid of from Blue's perspective. Now, fortunately for Blue, he draws a tile which gives him a variety of ways for defense. One, which is the most traditional one, is just to go here straight away, which does make a lot of sense, but then your opponent can still invade through here, or then your opponent can meeple this here city cap and take points from it. I guess you could put it here and then not meeple the city cap, and then actually meeple the city cap. No, but then sometimes your opponent goes here and here and here, and your meeple gets blocked, and that's why blue chooses the second way of defense. And even with the self-invasion, I actually quite like it. This square is super mildly vulnerable to a straight line or something, but eventually the most likely outcome is that this city is going to be completed for some 12 points for the player with the blue meeples, who now, by the way, gets himself his own 4 points and starts obstructing this square, and red responds in kind. Starts building around this area. Quite fortunately for Laurie, he gets himself a continuation tile, and Phosphate, I think with the first imprecision of the game, I don't think this is how you play here. So you see, he chose to pull his city away, but actually the best play in a situation like this is to invade. And many players are quite afraid to invade cities which are built with a self-invasion, which are built with 2 meeples like this. But this Dorito tile is perfect for this. So had red gone over here, red could have invaded with 1 meeple. And then red would have still have a chance to get a Dorito and invade with a second meeple. Or, let's say, if blue were to try and anticipate that the second invasion from the right, blue could have gone over here with his own Dorito, and then from red's perspective would have a platform to re-invade with a second or even a third meeple. So that actually was just completely fine. This here play, I don't even mind so much that this city, the red city, ended up getting restricted in this here square, because this tile that allowed blue to do this was just super, super perfect for them. It's more about, from red's perspective, I really don't like the idea of just my opponent completing a city with 2 shielded tiles. It's going to be more than 14. It's going to be like 18 points for not a lot of compensation. So I really want to invade there. And when red makes a play like this, basically you're committing yourself to trying to block, which is fair. But then in the beginning of the game, when all types of tiles are available, pretty much, and especially all the dagger tiles that fit into this square, blocking quite rarely works. As you can see, Lawyer successfully covers up. This city eventually is going to be completed. There's still 5 tiles left to do that. But Phosphate is now trying to get compensation by having himself a meeple advantage somewhere else. He was thinking, of course, of trying to obstruct this square a little bit. Doesn't quite work. Now he has another vulnerability over here as Lawyer picks up a bunch of new cities. I presume the move here from red is to go here and maybe even drop a farmer. So to cover up this vulnerable square, to prepare the completion of the city with a dagger, and to anticipate the farmer over here. And he goes for this move, which also makes some sense, as red is now threatening to block 2 meeples, but Lawyer simply is going to continue his road indirectly, I think, like this. Ah, it's actually quite... it's actually quite annoying if you're blue. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? So blue continues it directly, but there were downsides of continuing it in both ways. So let's just talk more a bit for a second. So now blue drew the last straight line, and this was actually the concern, that there was only 1 straight line remaining at the time. Or, okay, the penultimate straight line, I miscounted a little bit, but there's, like, just 1 more remaining. So we're running very short on these straight lines, and this was my concern from blue's perspective. And there was also another concern that blue's city could have been blocked like this towards the only remaining starting tile and so on. Right, now some more exciting action, as we can see the city being almost completed, covered up from one side. Lawyer now gets to block it from the other side, but there's still 3 of the other kind of dagger. I'm a bit surprised that Phosphate went here. I don't like this decision, actually. I think from red's perspective, red should have absolutely placed this tile over here, because red is playing this city as if it cannot be completed, but it is absolutely not true. Imagine if red had gone over here, and then over here with this here tile, then suddenly he can turn the city into a threat. Yeah, the Ukrainian player is being way, way, way more precise here. So, for example, with this here move, finishing the monastery and dropping a farm, it makes a lot of strategic sense because it's a very big farm, so lots of open space. First of all, this is something that stylistically Ukrainians have historically preferred and are good at. and the Chinese player will be a little bit more comfortable in a position like this, as the Chinese players tend to just play generally more closed positions, or at least tend to prefer them or be better at them. And, well, there's also the more important objective factor that this here city, from Blue's perspective, was almost blocked. It's actually now is even more in pain compared to how it was before. This will mean that Red will have a permanent meeple disadvantage, and a permanent meeple advantage for Blue will favor him in the ensuing field fight. So we can see that Red has successfully invaded the farmer with one meeple, but then there's this here platform at the top for Blue to reinvade. There's this here platform on the right, which actually Blue cannot really use productively. But Blue can just score. Yeah, he starts a new city here, and he will aim to finish the city and drop a farmer. But he cannot do this with this tile, as Phosphate is trying to block both of these here squares. Lawyer does not get a defense tile. He does, however, get himself some nice scoring, but Phosphate did not get a blocking tile either. Now he's going to continue his Rose City at the top. Rhombus City at the top, rather. Or will he? He could also go here and try to block this square. Yeah, but the rhombus is just too good. We're running out of these triangle tiles. There are only 3 of those remaining in the deck. I think we have to fill this up. And he was briefly considering some other ideas. He was probably considering dropping a farmer, but he figures he can drop a farmer later where he consolidates meeples a little bit more. Lawyer with a monastery tile, and there are plenty of monastery spots on one hand, but I honestly, I wouldn't bother, because at this stage, I just don't see how the monastery, even if it's completed for 9 points, contributes to the winning probability of Lawyer. I think at this point, we just maintain the control on the field. We protect our meeples. Yeah, we just go here, and we can potentially even drop another farmer. Yeah, I would love that idea. So we can do several things. We can get ourselves a city cap here. There's one of those remaining only. And we can get ourselves a Dorito here, and there's also one of those remaining. So actually, there's quite a significant chance that these here meeple are going to get stuck. And this is the reason why Blue chose not to drop a farmer over here. It makes a lot of sense. Like, normally early in the game, you would drop a farmer, because there are just plenty of tiles to finish your city. But with only one tile in each direction, yeah, you don't really want to do that, actually. But Lawyer now breaks Phosphate City, which actually makes some sense. He's going to connect it to this here semi-blocked city on the right, and now finally Lawyer gets himself a curve and a chance to invade the field. I think we go here at the top. We try and connect through here, or even through here if our opponent completes a city. We could go here on the right, but then we get easily blocked. Well, actually here we also get kind of easily blocked, but maybe not so easily. There's one crossroads remaining still, which we can use. Yeah, I'm not sure what else we do. In theory, we could go for a 4-point road, but that's bad because there are no straight lines remaining to go here for this pattern. So let's see what the Ukrainian decides here. Still a good position for Blue, despite Red finishing a 12-point city at the right and returning a meeple. Like, Blue has 2 points extra. Blue has multiple city threats compared to just one realistic city threat from Phosphate. The Monastery of Phosphate doesn't actually do all that much, because again, the game is going to be all about the field. Now, the Monastery of Red could develop if he draws some more monasteries to pair it up with, but let's see where this brings us. Alright, so a farmer is being dropped at the top. Red does not have a defense tile, and I don't think Red can go here. Yeah, Red's city is also getting threatened, so Red chooses to finish another city instead, and it's just a fantastic tile for Lawyer. I think it should be the clincher. Now, he's thinking about connecting over here, but of course finishing the city and dropping yet another. Oh, come on, don't be stingy, Yaroslav. Like, just drop a farmer there like a normal person. I mean, it's such a standard move to, like, over-farm. Like, why do you need to be so efficient? Like, what else do you gonna need this meeple for? Like, up plus 12. If Blue gets himself the farm. Blue just wins this, right? There's no question about this. So why don't we not only take ourselves 3 points on this side and not only threaten the invasion whilst our invasion at the top is a little bit endangered, but also most importantly we take away this platform from our opponents. Yeah, I think this is the first imprecision of Yaroslav in the game, and possibly has to do with just him not thinking this through, or through me being completely thick and not noticing that this not even is the same field. Well, actually, I think Yaroslav should have still dropped a farmer there, because this 9-point field is worth pre-invading. But yeah, I completely hallucinated, to be honest. I thought that these here 3 cities are connected to this, which they aren't, and I missed this here little piece of road which prevents the unification of 2 farms. Then Yaroslav's move, of course, makes much more sense, but I still would have dropped a farmer precisely to anticipate stuff like this. By the way, very nice vision here from Red, trying to use a tile for both the monastery and his city, and then drawing the Dorito tile. So very, very efficient here. Now preparing to maybe get the last monastery of the game and get some extra points. Yeah, this game is actually headed somewhere. Phosphate now gets a city tile. By the way, also it needs to be noted that this here city cap was also drawn, so this here city is dead. This here city is unlikely to be completed because it's going to need a Dorito tile and another city cap. I think actually the red player is now really coming back into this. Still 6 points down on the scoreboard, but then these here features are close enough. Then this city actually is technically not blocked. There's still 2 tiles that fit there. And we can see that Lawyer did not want to go here and block the city for some reason. I think I would have done this if I were him. Chose to go for the quick points here. Maybe giving a bit of an opportunity for Red. Alright. Hi Nalaheim, hi Dutchnik, hi Juan Alvarez. Oh, interesting. Nalaheim saying I would not have bothered saving those cities with a monastery. I don't know, it felt like they're very, very blockable with a curve. Oh, wait! But maybe this is not so bad. Yeah, you're right, because then had Red gone here with a curve, only this meeple would have been blocked, and this meeple would have still been alive with the dagger tiles. Yeah, that's actually an interesting point. I think maybe a Lawyer was overreacting there, even though his moves were completely reasonable. Like, it was indeed a protection for a complete block. Yeah, also one of those instances where I kind of reacted to this as a normal move, because in most positions, especially early in the game, it is indeed the move. Yeah, so we can see that Yaroslav really prioritizes scoring. He does not seem to care too much about a meeple retrieval from Red, and maybe so late in the game it is correct. Red is kind of building up a city over here, although the main purpose of it is not so much a city build-up, it's more about his farming protection. And it also sets up some farming opportunities over here, interestingly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1 curve still remaining. So it's possible to get something like a Dorito tile and have an unblockable invasion through this here square. Something that a Lawyer might need to think about later. Interesting tile for Phosphate. I think I know where this is going. We're going to see some quick points in all likelihood, but there's some other temptations. So let me talk you through them. Now, the standard kind of equity move is... Ooh! Ooh! That is interesting. Trying to invade to the field by completing his city. That is interesting, to say the least. Yummy, yummy. And yeah, there are not that many blocking tiles left. Well, there's the triple city, there's the regular Dorito, of course, And now there's only one dagger left to complete this. Yeah, I did not see this idea. Apparently, Phosphate decided that he's behind enough to do this. But I still want to talk through the other options that he had to consider, like going over here for 2 points, leaving a city cap in his field, trying to draw the last left-handed dagger to take the 7 points later would have been a reasonable setup. Yeah, as we can see that Phosphate is just going all in on the field. And from Lawyer's perspective, we have 7 tiles unseen to us. Now we can try and strategize. And the main question that I would ask myself, can I afford to ignore this threat or not? This was the last curve by Phosphate, which also makes me think that it was either a miscount or an act of extreme desperation, because there's only one tile that fits into this square, the regular monastery. There are no vanilla city caps, there are no road monasteries, and there's only one tile that left into this square. There are no straight lines, no T crossroads, they're only a starting tile. And we can see that after some calculation, the Ukrainian decides that he actually is not going to bother with protecting things, with reinvading things. He is just going to score. He takes the longest road he can find. Probably from Lawyer now we're going to see this here field move for 6 points, which can also connect to this here farm with the last Dorito. And yeah, I think the plan of Lawyer is just to withstand this here field attack. Is it possible, though, now that I think about this, there's 9 points for this here farmer. If the Chinese player takes over everything, it's going to be 12 points extra. It's actually going to be even more because this city is going to get completed. I think we still do this just because we don't really have many other options. And, yeah, mild imprecision on the other side was a little bit better. On the other side was a little bit better. Because then there's still this Dorito. Oh, there's no Dorito. Never mind. Yeah, I missed this. I missed this again. Okay, I'm going to try and focus myself better for the next game. Yeah, of course. So this city has been blocked, and this here square also has been blocked. So it actually doesn't really matter which farm to take, and this is even arguably better than the left. Yeah, I think I just missed that moment when Phosphate was completing his city on the right. Alrighty. Okay, gotta focus harder a little bit on this one. What is Red gonna do here? That's a choice, clutch choice actually, for Red, because his connection here would have been blocked. But I still think this is not what he should have played. Because see, he was afraid that this tile would be drawn to block this farmer's entrance. But then Lawyer can still go here and block this farmer's entrance. So ideally what he should have done, he should have hoped that Lawyer has a monastery in hand, connected over here to the farm, and yeah, anyway. Oh, there was I'm so sorry. How did I miss the last straight line? Okay, I'm gonna try and focus much harder. Then of course the moves of Phosphates makes much sense. How did I miss a straight line? This is so weird. Oh yeah, I think because when Blue drew 2 in a row here, I must have tracked one of them twice. Yeah, so Red's chances were kind of alive. So in his last turn, Red scored 7 instead of the possible 15. So had the tiles been reversed, Red would have actually had more points. Hey, it's gonna get actually pretty close. And has Red won this anyway? This might as well just be the case... Amazing, 1 point. Red actually has won this anyway. Yeah. And you know where that 1 point came from? It's so interesting. It came from here. Because Lawyer was forced to block the square because Phosphate could have drawn, and in fact did draw a monastery. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely spectacular. Now, this, of course, knowing that there was one more tile remaining, it looks like an even safer option than it actually was. So it's even a bit unusual that this meeple didn't survive. This here, very nice find here from the Chinese master. And just swindling a position which looked completely lost like this. Lawyer understandably going here the outrunning route, just meepling things. Apparently was not the way to go. Apparently the way to go possibly was to like set up other fields connections. But yeah, the more you know. So Phosphate is ahead in this one. We're going to be headed into the second game. A reminder to all of y'all that, as usual, this is a best of 3. Alrighty. Yeah, so Juan Alvarez is asking, why did not Phosphate join the field where he could? And apparently there was a very, very quick calculation from the Chinese player. So instead of joining, having himself a guaranteed field connection, which would score him lower, he was preserving for a better field connection, which would score him more. Because if he were to connect to the field straight away, he would have gotten the field points from the lower meeple. But by preserving the connection at the top and connecting with the upper meeple, he allowed himself to connect through his completed city, and the completed city scored 7 extra points because it's 4 extra, it's in his field, so it's 7, and then also gave him a meeple back for reinvestment on the last turn, and that's what made the difference. So yeah, it's actually quite an easy calculation if you know all the tiles and if you know the points very, very well. At least in hindsight, it was easily the best move, not just because of the tile runout that came out, but it was the best move that took into account all the possible tile runouts. So actually, this is some incredible endgame planning from the phosphorus-loving player. Alrighty, so in this one, Yaroslav's first. He gets himself the starting player token. He gets himself 8 points on the scoreboard by completing 2 quick cities. Phosphate going for the aggressive road, for double aggressive roads. I absolutely love it. He's getting blocked a little bit, but this is not a huge source of concern. Now Phosphate has a chance to invade Yaroslav's city. And the way you play these positions with this aggressive scoring is that you actually get some of your meeples blocked. Maybe this one, for example. I think this one can get blocked if red just doesn't draw any of these rose tiles that fit here. So 25% chance of that happening. Or this square could get blocked in theory. But then for those meeples that don't get blocked, you score so much that it can easily offset the damage that you have from a lost meeple. I absolutely love playing positions like this. So here, I would prefer red over blue. The one advantage for blue, other than what Dubl did right now, is of course the fact that blue is the starting player and he's going to have himself the best endgame probabilities. But very often when you play this type of imbalanced game, then the game gets decided very often before the endgame. So one of the sides has a 0% chance of winning quite often in these here scenarios. It could be red, it could be blue, but the idea is that in imbalanced positions where instead of fighting for one big field, one side has the field control, which is going to be lawyer, and the other side has... Oh, we have to talk about this for a second. I will address what's happening on the screen in the turn. I just want to finish my point. So, when one side has the field control and the other one just keeps scoring other things, then very often such games are decided, like, I don't know, 10 tiles before the end of the game, or like 5 tiles before the end of the game. And so you don't get the advantage from being the last player from those better endgame probabilities that much. However, obviously, there are many, many, many exceptions to this situation. Having those better probabilities is normally extremely helpful. All right, so we have to address what happened here, as Lawyer was kind of trying to block a lot of meeples in this here area, and by placing this here monastery, he forced Phosphate to block himself. This is such a beauty. So Phosphate drew this tile, and this was the only legal placement. And he now has blocked his city. Yaroslav now triple blocked it. This was not necessary. This move is basically just adding 1 point to himself. The idea here, of course, is that it's just... there were no starting tiles remaining here to begin with. All of them are here. Yeah, Lawyer is playing this actually amazingly well, except for this move. This is not a good move at all. Well, maybe I should not be too critical. It's a decent move, but there were better opportunities, like several of them actually. Anyway, actually, no. Like, why do I keep reacting to this? This move has a lot of merits, man. Like, this Yaroslav guy, he's just like seeing things way faster than I am. So, okay, what happened here? This move was actually very clutch. The Ukrainian technique from the Ukrainian master. This here, one blue meeple controlling multiple red squares, controlling multiple red meeples as well. So it is in red's interest to place something over here. And red will be forced to build up the city for blue, which is quite annoying. I guess red could also go here instead, and then block the blue monastery, which was placed there, and then red would be okay with this here monastery getting blocked. Yeah, this actually is, I think, now quite okay for red. Anyway, so what I was going to say. So, originally, I didn't like this move, because I didn't like a monastery which scores only 4 points. Well, it's 6, but it's also -2 because we're helping out these monasteries. I also don't like it because it weakens the Ukrainian technique a little bit, right? Because now in this area we have 2 blue meeples against 3 red meeples. And technically it's only 2 against 2 because this here road meeple is already blocked. So like red is not super incentivized to play something here. And in fact, yeah, red has basically just the complete meeple equality in this here area. This, of course, road meeple is blocked over here to this here square. Like, this is where the meeple disadvantage of red comes from. So that's why I didn't like this move initially. But it actually has a lot of merit in the sense that it preserves this here central square for the operations later carried out by the play with the blue meeples. This here idea of utilizing the meeple majority to create a 12-point farm or 4 completed cities with double curves instead of going for the jackpot with double road monasteries. So this factor is what must have swayed Yaroslav, and this 12-point farmer is fantastic actually. It's super efficient. Despite the fact that Phosphate now got himself a meeple back for 3 points, this blue meeple certainly is going to give good chances for the Ukrainian player here. What else needs to be addressed? Just some more natural moves, something quite interesting happening. One of the positive outcomes from the Ukrainian technique is that you get to build a ruin next to 2 of your opponent's monasteries. Now this guy basically scores as much as this. Phosphate, however, still ahead on the scoreboard and still not losing in meeples. Of course, it is only temporary because I assume a farmer will need to be dropped at some point from red. I don't know where exactly, but it has to happen at some point. Alright, what is Phosphate gonna do? Just scores 2 quick points, which is actually quite an interesting move. So he really wants to keep that city cap open. And he's even okay to leave an empty city cap because of this. Lawyer with a weird move here. Taking 1 point instead of 2 points. I wonder what's the rationale behind that. I don't like this move one bit. And about this one I am quite sure, in fact. I really, really don't like this. It gives back... First of all, it's like 1 point less. Second, it's kind of... takes away the threat of potentially closing this city, which still existed. Now it's kind of hard to do. So Red can safely go here with the dagger tile and get himself a monastery meeple back. Yeah, Lawyer takes advantage of the city cap. But one reason why I didn't like this move is because it gives back this here road for 6 points quite easily. And Phosphate would absolutely love this. Now builds up his city at the top. Both opponents have ruins. Yeah, Lawyer now covers up on one side. And Phosphate claims the road. The exact road that I was worried about. So that's super efficient in this position to take 6 points in just 2 tiles. And also 2 unseemly road tiles. Alrighty, so Road Monastery goes to the Chinese player, who's still 5 points ahead on the scoreboard. Lawyer can't draw a curve. He does need one to get his meeple back, and Phosphate is setting up a field attack. This move is not just 2 points, this move is something more than that. So the idea, of course, is to go here, maybe right now, actually, and drop a farmer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to do this. So idea like this, we drop a farmer, we connect through the outside of a curve, and it is an unblockable farmer, and you get 3 points for the road. Honestly, there's just no more perfect move than this available. Yeah, because 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there are 4 curves available. But he chooses not to do this. I really dislike this. I thought that he would instead maybe consider going over here, because now Yaroslav City is turning into a threat. But I wonder why Red wouldn't go for a 15-point setup, which is so high prob. So Red must think that he must be like really, really far ahead, but he isn't. He's a bit ahead, but Yaroslav has the farm. Okay, so let's look at this, right? The monasteries are kind of compensating each other. Then these are kind of compensating each other together with these. This is basically nothing, and Yaroslav has the farm. And of course, the scoreboard advantage belongs to Phosphate. Okay, Lawyer's going to get a meeple back over here. It's going to give him an advantage, actually. So, I really did not like the idea from Phosphate not to attack the field, especially if you get a tile like this. It's like the single most perfect tile in the deck to do something like this. You get the 3 points and the field invasion, and it's kind of hard to block. Because let's say, okay, he would have gone here, Yaroslav would have gone for the block in this area, and then Phosphate could have gone over here and dropped yet another farmer, connecting with like a 95% chance or even more at this point. Because drawing 1 in 4 tiles with only 15 tiles unseen, it is like more than the usual 94%. I think it's close to 96. Yeah, I wonder what Red is gonna do here. Maybe going over here at the top, because this city can still be completed. That is also an issue. There is a dagger, right? There are multiple daggers. The 2 daggers fit into this square. So Phosphate is being surprisingly nonchalant. Well, now, of course, I believe it is blocked completely. Well, not complete. There are no city cabs that fit into this square, but there are some combinations of a splitter and a road Dorito. Yeah, but now, of course, it is just much, much harder to do. Lawyer now look at this move. He does not even bother getting a meeple back, which is quite interesting. He instead chooses to limit off this field connection. But if I were the Ukrainian here, I think I would not have done that. I think I would have just taken a meeple back. Because your opponent has shown that they're not going to attack your farm, even with the best tile in the deck for that. So what makes you think that they're going to attack the farm with a slightly inferior tile anyway? Now, the position has changed slightly, of course, but the overall position assessment is the same. The score difference is the same since we last spoke. So I think from Yaroslav's perspective, this is the point where I would have tried to not be too objective and play against the human intentions of my opponent as opposed to the actual position. But it may as well pay off, and Yaroslav gets the curve anyway, so it just ends up being a slight move order change. Phosphate meeples the last monastery just to block that city for good. And still technically 3 points ahead on the scoreboard, but not really much else to show for it. Yaroslav is ahead overall. And he has the meeples extra. And Phosphate now continues his city at the top. Yaroslav again goes the outscoring route with yet another curve for 5 points. That's about the best that he can do. And the reason why Red chose to take 2 points at the top instead of 3 points at the bottom is because Red is still waiting for the potential splitter tile to finish the city and get himself a meeple back. Yeah, look at Phosphate. He's now setting up an invasion platform again. He's trying to get a curve and drop a farmer like this and connect through a straight line. But you see, the train has sailed, as I like to say, because these field connection opportunities are nowhere near as high prob as they used to be anymore. That's why you gotta take them when you still have them. And because the last curve, no, the penultimate curve actually has just been drawn by, never mind, it's the last curve. The last curve has been drawn by Lawyer. He might not even have to bother to block that place anymore. Instead, maybe he can just add a point to his road indirectly, because you cannot do it directly, because doing anything directly would expose a field attacking platform. So let me show you this. So let's say if we go here, then this gives a chance for Red to invade like this. Now that I think about this, Red can still invade with a dagger tile. Just use the dagger as a curve, going over here and then getting himself the one remaining straight line, or the 0 remaining straight lines, huh? So what is he even hoping for? There's nothing. Yeah, okay, I didn't miscount this time. There are definitely 0 remaining straight lines, so this idea doesn't even work. And there are no starting tiles for a long time. I just don't see the connection pattern there. The road monasteries have gone. So really, it's nothing for Lawyer to worry about at all. And I think this is the realization that he's coming to. And what does this mean for which move has to be played? Do we drop a 3-point farmer at the top? Like this? Trying to get something for this here city cap? Do we maybe drop a 3-point farmer here? Trying to anticipate the completion of Red City? Or are we not far ahead enough to do something like this? So do we just take the 1 point for the road anyway, presuming that it is kind of difficult to attack the field without curves and monasteries remaining? He falls for it. He falls for it. He blocks an invasion, which wasn't even there. And I can understand this move, because it doesn't do anything bad, but it says that I don't know what you're planning, but you're planning something nasty, so I'm going to do something about this. So 4 quick points for Lawyer. This also means that my idea here with a curve would have worked. I presume that the fertilizer-themed screen name is going to influence the choice of the next move, as the first red farmer will be descending soon onto the field. But he does not go there directly because, in theory, there is an opportunity to do some things without having to spend a meeple. But yeah, points are points are points. This is the highest scoring move available on the board. And then if he's lucky, he can even score for this here area. Or actually, can he? I'm not even sure that you can meeple this field. And as a matter of fact, you can't. Because there are no curves, no straight lines, nothing, like no road tiles. So the idea of going here and dropping this farmer, it's not even possible. So Phosphate snatches the highest scoring move that he has, that he had. What does this do for Yaroslav? I guess we just build something. We could go for these here points here. Instead, he goes to the farm, which also makes a lot of sense. 3 points are 3 points in any case. Phosphate now probably can take a point here. Oh, no, of course. I even forgot that he could finish this monastery. Yeah, so that's a little gain for him. He gets to get this here little small farm. Now I'm going to start worrying, is Lawyer going to get outscored after all? It should be close, but I don't know the score precisely, that's the thing. I mean, he still has 6 more field points overall along a road. Now he has this here ruin. Phosphate has a city cap of his own. So you're probably going to just score 3 points for some field at the top, which is the best move that he can do. There are some city moves available. There are other ways of making the 3 points. Should not make such a big difference. Yeah, he goes that way. Lawyer with also a scoring tile. Plenty of ways to get 1 point. In fact, 3 ways to be exact. He chooses one of the 3 possible city squares for expansion. I genuinely don't know who won. Let's see this soon enough. So Lawyer's road is counted, the monasteries are counted, and he's coming kind of close. Then the ruin is going to be counted again. He's only going to have 3 extra farmers extra, which makes me think that Phosphate has actually turned things around. This is so interesting. Yeah, 5 extra points for the Chinese player, and with that we have our finalist. Certainly, both games had the same scenario where like things looked very good for Lawyer, and then just the superior endgame skills of the Chinese player somehow made him achieve yet another miracle. Yeah, but this one is actually quite different. I wonder again if Yaroslav could have done anything differently. Because Red's position looked very good at the start with like all those setups despite them being blocked. I think Blue did a good job trying to preserve his fields over here overall. It was quite an effective way to set up things. This 12-point farmer is very good. But what What about this? And red apparently not invading over here proved out just fine. However, I still disagree with this decision. Because by choosing not to invade over here, red's win was basically contingent on him drawing the splitter tile. Because it gave a lot of points. It gave 4 to red, and then a chance to drop a meeple extra. So this is actually like technically 10 points for this tile-a-ton. So this tile was absolutely game decisive. But now that I think about this here move at the bottom, was this by any chance the game-winning move for the Chinese player? And let me explain my logic in a second, just as I update the scoreboard so that we know what we're talking about. So this move looks like it is threatening a field invasion. And I thought so initially, you know, with a curve like this, through a straight line like this. There was no straight line remaining, so in fact this move was threatening a big fat nothing. But Lawyer, upon further consideration, decided that it's not going to be, that he doesn't want to think about it, he's just going to block it just in case. But look what happened after. Had this threat not been made, then Lawyer would have maybe found the best move, which was to take this tile and to go over here for 6 points and meeple this field for insurance. Phosphate would have still gotten himself a meeple back, but then he would not have been able to score the 6 points with it. So Lawyer's meeple would have scored 6 instead of 3. That was where his last meeple went. And Phosphate's meeple, well, would have scored 3 instead of 6, right? Because I don't think there was enough time to invest all his meeples productively. Okay, no, okay, he would have scored 4 at least, right? Huh. So I guess Phosphate could have still won by a tie if this were to happen. But let me think about this some more. Still, like, if Lawyer goes here, he has more winning chances, because then maybe he draws some more shielded tiles, which allow the ruin development over here. Actually, you know what? No, never mind. He would have still won. He would have scored 7, because you know what would have happened? This here city would have had 1 more point in it, because this here tile would have gone over here. So, with his last 2 meeples, Lawyer scored 3 and 5, a total of 8 points. Had he gone here, he would have scored 6 points here and 6 points over here with the tile that he got in the game by building his city with precise endgame play, which with 4 minutes on the clock is more than doable. So he would have had 4 more points, putting him at 94. Phosphate would have had 2 fewer points, because with this here tile, he would have only been able to score 4 points for the city. Yeah, and there wasn't just anything else that he could do. So this means that this move, this kind of psychological gambit from the Chinese player, was in fact the winning move, because it forced Lawyer into a suboptimal play. It forced him this meaningless block, whereas he could have occupied this insurance farm, an idea which I guarantee you he absolutely had in his mind. So yeah, the Chinese Azul master here with the swindle. Exactly, Nalaheim, the trap of Phosphate worked. I really like when this stuff happens on the board. Of course, the Ukrainian player will not like it all that much, as he really manages to lose 2 quite winnable games and is thus relegated to the loser bracket, where he's going to play who? He's going to play Devdin. David Bourdois. Should be a rather interesting match. Now, no right to lose anymore for the Ukrainian master. And Phosphate will be playing in the finals against the winner of this here epic duel, which I'm absolutely covering on Saturday. So either Nalaheim or Rabbit Rain. So this is going to be very, very yummy. and this is going to be yummy as well. So that you don't miss that match, really make sure that you subscribe and click the bell notification icon. That's the best way, because streams are scheduled on a short notice, because matches are scheduled on a short notice. You're gonna need to react quickly. And of course, before you leave, just make sure to meeple the like button. For the algorithm, it helps more than you might think. And let's just have a look real quick at which matches we have. Today I'm not streaming anything more. I see that Ice Maze is covering Smile Hyphen versus Blue Stiff from Qualification 3. I hope that he's also covering the next one. Then tomorrow... Yeah, and then tomorrow there's nothing, interestingly. So maybe there might be matches scheduled on a short notice. But if there are, I will let you know again if you subscribe and click the bell notification icon. So that's the plan for now. And then that's it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.